Good morning. Good morning to all of you, and I'm so happy to be here in front of you. And it's an honor to speak at this forum. I've never spoken with so many deans of so many management institutes, so this is the first time for me. But I must confess, I'm just an ordinary commerce graduate. I have not studied management. So, I passed out in 71. And at that time, I wanted to do a MBA, and I was very, very keen to do MBA. I applied, those days there were 3 management schools. IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, IIM Ahmedabad, and Bajaj School of Management. And I appeared for those tests, and I was not that bright to get selected. And I'm not joking, but I didn't pass the test. So I told my father that, okay, can I go abroad to study management? And he said, no, you can't go abroad. So those days, as kids, we were far more obedient than, say, my children today. So, like an obedient boy, I don't know why he didn't want me to go. Sorry, you want me to go up? Huh? And he was scared maybe I'll never come back, or I may get married to somebody else whom... So I don't know. Anyway, I didn't have too many arguments with him. I just joined the family business at that time. A very small business located in the heart of commodity markets in Masjid Bandar. And I don't know how many of you have been to that area. If you've not been, it's worth going there just to see the chaos. I think it's the most chaotic place in the world. It's in the midst of transport go-downs, dirty, there's no car parking, hand carts, traffic. It's complete chaos. And we have that office in that space. And it's a family-managed organization. My father and 3 of his brothers managing the company. And I am the first person from the next generation to enter the business. Nobody to teach me anything. There are no managers in the company. It's all family, relatives, acquaintances, helping the family to decide things, and completely centralized. Even basics like an appointment letter, nothing was there. So here I go and, my father said, okay, now you visit. We had 3 different businesses. You go and visit the factories, visit customers, and see what appeals to you. So my first 1 or 2 years, I just started exploring. And in that exploration, I realized that we needed some basics to be set right. If we had to grow, we had to have good quality talent. And, how do you build all that? So, being in Masjid Bandar, being in a family-managed organization, it was impossible to attract good talent. So how does an entrepreneur meet these challenges, You never give up. So those days I started working with individuals, senior managers who could help me in this journey. I would meet them in the evenings after their office hours. And as the business grew, I needed some marketing inputs. Again, we couldn't attract any talent in marketing. So, I finalized an arrangement with a professor from IIM Ahmedabad. But he made it very clear to me that he cannot meet me during the day. He can meet me in the night. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do that. So multiple times I've gone to IIM Ahmedabad, spent the whole night there and came back in the morning. Unfortunately, he died in an air crash. His name was Dr. Labdi Bhandari. And I spent a lot of time with him. In my initial days, a lot of learning from him. And similarly, what I'm trying to say is, you have to find a way out as an entrepreneur. Even when it came to started to advertising, I didn't know anything about advertising. So we appointed an ad agency, and my first thing was that I want to spend 1 week in the ad agency just to understand how advertising is created. So the business, we had an edible oil business, and I saw an opportunity of converting that bulk edible oil into branded edible oil. So I recruited some sales supervisors and started traveling in interior markets, appointing distributors. Many a time, small towns, I have stayed at the distributors' houses because there are no hotels. I'm talking of mid-70s. Huh? And I did actually selling. And over a period of 5 years or so, increased our distribution network, and the brands at that time were Parachute and Coconut Oil and Saffola. So we first few years were spent in building a distribution network. And then we said that we got some 10-15% market share in that segment of coconut oil. But we said we need to do something differently. And we need to grow far more aggressively. My aspiration has always been, whatever you do, you have to be market leader. So how can we become a market leader in a segment where your product differentiation is not that wide, it's narrow product differentiation? So we said that at that time the market for coconut oil was, everything was in tins. Can we convert the market into plastics? Plastics is cheaper than tins. It's more attractive. It's more convenient to pour. So we thought we had a winner on hand. We went to consumers. They said, yes, we would prefer buying coconut oil plastics. But when we went to trade, which is the intermediary, before it reaches the product, you have to sell it through the retailers and the distributors. And there was a huge resistance because apparently prior to us, somebody else had launched coconut oil in plastics, which was a disaster. Because of the way they had packed it, a lot of oil on the outer surface of the bottle. When the retailer closed the shop and opened next morning, all the rats had eaten away the product. So not only the product was damaged, but the oil also, the shop also got damaged. So we said that how do we meet this? We see a big opportunity, but how do we cross this hurdle? And so we went back to our drawing board. We went to our packaging vendors, told them, can you design a bottle which is a round-shaped bottle? Went to our packaging department to ensure that there was no oil on the outer surface of the bottle. We did all that, and we actually kept the product in a rat cage for a day. Nothing happened. We took pictures, and we gave the pictures to our field force. We gave assurance to the trade that we will compensate you if there is damage. And every month then I would go on monitoring the progress of plastics in the coconut oil category. And over a period of time, and we over-invested the extra profits we were making in this category through plastics because of lower cost structure to the consumers. We started advertising the benefits. It took about 5 to 6 years for us to convert the whole market from tin to plastics. But in that conversion, because we were the first movers, we became market leaders. From a 15% market share, our market share jumped up to 50%. And it's a fairly large category, and just to give you some idea, we sell something like 70 million bottles every month. So at one level, it looks small. And we did multiple innovations in packaging. I'm not, because of lack of time, not going into all the innovations we made. But I think at that time, what struck me was that even in a basic category like branded commodities, there are opportunities for innovation. And then the other brand, Saffola, we've had multiple failures. So innovation is ridden with failure. So don't think that everything is going to succeed. So we said that 10 years back or so, we said, can we go into healthy foods through Saffola brand? And we identified baked snacks. At that time, there were no baked snacks, only fried snacks. Went in the market, in Bombay market, we normally prototype something new which in one city or one town. So we thought we had a winner on hand because people were health conscious and baked snacks is less than calories. The product didn't do well and we had to withdraw the product. Because our team thought that because it is under the brand name Saffola, which stands for health, health comes first and taste comes second. And in impulsive category like snacks, the consumers want taste first. So we realized that in foods, taste is very, very important. It's the ultimate, And a few years later, we launched Saffola Oats. So again, undifferentiated compared to Kellogg's, Quaker. We got 10-15% market share, but again, stagnation. And then that quest for leadership was forcing us to think differently. So we went back to the consumer. The consumer said that we want savory breakfast. Indians like more savory breakfast. We saw what Maggi had done to noodles. So we came to the conclusion that we can launch a brand of masala oats or savory oats in different flavors. And after the failure of our snacks, we went overboard on taste. We profiled each and every state in India which has a different taste preference. And We developed a product for each state, went overboard on taste, and that product has been a resounding success. We have an 80% market share in that category, and it's almost a 400 crore business now today for us. So that failure from the earlier one has really helped us. And if I had to look at many failures, we always get some learning from that failure and apply it to a later part of the journey, which has helped us in terms of succeeding because we overlooked something or we did some mistake. In Bangladesh, where we saw a big opportunity, the whole market was in tins for coconut oil. And we said that can we do something similar to what we've done in India at a far more aggressive pace. We launched the product and all the local players. And today we have an 80% market share in Bangladesh. And we are the largest Indian company in Bangladesh, doing a turnover more than 1,000 crores. But I think we were able to roll out the innovations in that market. So I think my belief in innovation and pioneering initiatives went on getting reinforced. And the initial business which I had built in the joint family business was taken over by Marico in the year 1990. And at that time, we realized that if we have to succeed, we have to build a culture of innovation. We want innovation on a perpetual basis. It's a matter of time others will copy you. So you have to be 2 steps ahead of others in terms of innovations. So how do you build a culture of innovation was a big, big challenge for us. So initially I wrote down some thoughts, my own thoughts, developed over a period of 15, 20 years. And in the first 15, 20 years, I had an intense desire to interact with people. I have done a lot of short-term training programs at various management schools in India as well as outside India. I read a lot. I interacted with a lot of thought leaders. So individuals like Jagdish Sheth, Ram Charan, C.K. Prahlad. I had multiple meetings on a one-on-one basis just to learn from them. So I wrote down my thoughts, developed over a period of time, and shared that with my team. And didn't have any clue what next. So got a phenomenal response from my team. And I'm talking of early 90s, where wrote down what are our values, what do we look for in people, in products, in profits. I think the biggest advantage we got was that some of the blind spots I had, it got addressed in my team. And ultimately, at the end of those deliberations, maybe 10, 15 days over a period of 1 year, we developed our value document, which is 3 Ps of Marico: people, products, profits. It got better structured. But what next? How do you build a culture in an organization was a big challenge. And I don't think in those days in India, any organization had done culture building in a structured manner. So we went to Dr. Atreya and we said, can you help us? So with his help, we went to the next 2 layers of management for a 2-day retreat and told them that this is something which is started by me, value added by my team, immediate team, and now we want you to value add. So again, it got critiqued, the value document. A lot of ideas came in terms of how do we convert those values into a build culture. I think the biggest learning for me in that was that for critical organizational initiatives, you need to involve people. Because I could have just told them that these are my values, my team's values, now you live these values. But the fact that they were involved, it increased their commitment. So involvement leads to commitment. And sometimes some individuals feel that it's a lot of time wasted, but it's fully worth spending that time, because in culture building, the top 2-3 layers play a very, very important role in driving the culture. If somebody down the line in one of my reportees says that, okay, these are my values and I don't buy, it will just send a very strong signal down the line that values are not important. And I had also heard from many individuals that these values are pasted in reception, but when you actually talk to people down the line, it's nowhere near what is written. I didn't want that to happen. So then what next? We went to each and every location. At that time, we had about 5 or 6 factories, 4 regions. What does it mean? Signal? No, it's okay. So I went to all the locations, talk about these values, had had various, basically broke it into small groups, got their suggestions in terms of how to reinstill or reinforce this values on a perpetual basis. And that's how we started working on values. Openness is one of our values. So from day one, we said that we will go into an open office. We will have, if somebody wants to meet each other, they can meet directly. You don't have to go through an organizational hierarchy. We had open house at all our town hall events across the organization where people can ask any questions, any awkward questions to the management. We had relationship reviews where the leader and the team went out for 2 days just to talk about how the relationships are. So basically, when you have openness, then you reduce the backbiting, politicking in an organization. Because if I don't like something about you, I should be able to tell you on your face rather than telling 10 others and not tell you. And similarly with trust. So how do you bring in the quality of trust? And I'm talking of early 90s. We did away with muster in the office. We did away with casual leave, sick leave, because we said if you're sick, we trust you. And we also did self-authorization of expenditure. So if I incur any expenditure on behalf of the company, I can self-authorize because there are policies. I don't have to go to my boss. So this sent a very strong signal to individuals that it's a trusting organization. So I'm just giving 2 examples. There are multiple examples I can give on the culture building, but I think openness, trust are very important to drive an innovative culture. So how do you drive innovative culture was a big challenge. And we said that we have to have a very flat organization structure where the number of layers from the top to the bottom have to be minimal. Because if you have a flat structure, then the leaders will be forced to empower. And the flat structure has to combine with very good quality talent. So from early 90s, we have been recruiting management students from very good schools of management. We recruit engineering graduates, chartered accountants. So ensured that the quality of talent which came in was very good quality. And I think then we have to empower them at a very early stage. So if you have a diverse talent, empowering roles, open culture, trusting culture, if you have an idea, then you will discuss with others, because innovation doesn't happen in R&D labs only. And innovation is beyond new products. It covers processes, it covers functions, it may be the way you create advertising. And we wanted each individual within the organization to think innovation. So if I developed an idea, then I can discuss with 4 or 5 other cross-functional individuals and develop that idea. And the role of the top management is to reinforce the need to innovate. So if somebody is making a presentation to me, a brand, they will know that I'll ask the question, what is the innovation you plan? So there is some sort of a top-down expectation or innovations. And then we had creativity workshops. The biggest hindrance to innovation is the fear of failure. And especially amongst management students, I've seen it that they think they've arrived. Of course, they've arrived because everybody is aspiring to recruit them at a very fancy salary. And they don't want to take risks because they don't want a negative in their biodata in the first 2-3 years, of a failure. So one had to overcome that, that, okay, please, it's okay to fail. Because, if you are afraid of failure, you will go on doing a lot of market research if you want to launch a new product. You try to cover your backside because ultimately you say the market research showed this. But market research has huge limitations, in my opinion. Ultimately, if you are in a consumer-facing business, there is no shortcut to trying that product with the consumer. And we encourage individuals to experiment, to prototype that on a small scale, in a small town or a retail chain. But prototype that, because you cannot do market research on each and every aspect. It's very slow. So we just ask individuals to experiment, take prototype, and not be afraid of failures. And if that prototype doesn't succeed, then of course you don't launch the product nationally. The role of the organization also is to actually talk about innovation. We have an internal award for innovations, and every year we have about 15 to 20 entries, and 6 to 7 entries are chosen, and they talk about how innovations happen to a larger body in all the town hall events. So I think the biggest challenge is for any organization is to how do you create a very strong right to win. And if I look at my own set of brands, I think each and every brand we are number one in that particular segment. We are very clear that in shampoos, conditioner with MNCs present, we cannot be number one. So so far we've not even entered those categories. So the key thing is for us to decide what portfolio we can be number one. How are we going to manage innovations within that portfolio? What is the likely competition in that? So in shampoos, we are present in anti-lice shampoo, which is a very small segment. Big companies will not go because the segment is too small for them. So we acquired Medicare from Procter & Gamble, and we have some like 70-80% market share in that. So that's how we have gone over a period of time. From the time Marico formed to today, we progressed quite a lot. We have now, until 8-9 years back, I was the managing director. I'm just now a chairman. It's completely professional. So there is not a single family member in the organization. I stepped down. We appointed one of our person who was with us as the managing director. And if I look back at the journey of Marico over a period of time, it's changed dramatically. It's changed from a family managed to a professionally organization, now completely professional, from unlisted to listed, from branded commodities to FMCG, from low value add to high value add, from India to international. About 25% of our turnover comes from international businesses, mainly in Bangladesh, Middle East, Egypt, South Africa, and Vietnam. From a low price to earning multiple to a equal high price to earning multiple like any other MNC. And from an unknown company to a respected company. Just in terms of a market cap, when we were listed in 96, it was 180 crores, and today it's in the range of about 75,000 crores. So I think over a period of time, we have been able to transform this business. And that transformation journey continues. It's not ending. If today, what is our transformation agenda? The whole FMCG sector got disrupted. It was supposed to be the most defensive sector because of the distribution infrastructure needed to launch a product, because of high advertising money needed to advertise in television and press. But with the emergence of digital media, emergence of digital ways of selling products, we have seen a big disruption. And I mean, how do we participate in this disruption was a big challenge. One is to say, I will look at it from a threat point of view, that any other player who's coming into this would, we should protect ourselves. Other is to say that I should participate in that from an opportunity point of view. So considering that, we have acquired 4 D2C brands. We also have our own brands. And they are managed differently because the D2C business requires a different way to manage. You cannot manage D2C business the way you manage the traditional FMCG business. This is manned by much younger talent. They have to be far more agile. And it's managed completely separately as a separate profit center. Some other transformation agenda we have is that we are going aggressively into foods. We want to go up the value chain, so what we call as premiumization is another challenge. And each of these transformation means a different approach, and many times you need to build in newer competencies, you build in new structures, you need to remove escape buttons to ensure that you succeed in this transformation journey. And the last transformation is go aggressively in international markets. I think I had planned to talk about MIF, but he's asked me to speak something on the disruption. So I think I'll just change my focus on that if it is okay. Varun? So I strongly feel that in today's age, we have never seen such disruption, at least I have not seen in my history. Started with COVID, to the Soviet war, to now the new Israel war. So many new technologies coming in. The need to bring in outside in, the new trends which are coming in. I mean, the job of CEO has become very, very complex compared to what it was earlier. And on top of that, the need to have diversity, inclusion, ESG, regulatory issues, SEBI asking for many more compliances. So it's very, very complex. But you have to succeed in that, so you can't avoid it. So what are the new leadership lessons in today's environment of disruption is something I'll talk about. I think first is agility. We've seen that development of vaccines, which used to take 8 to 10 years, got cracked within a period of 2 to 3 years. So I think fundamentally change the way you develop new products, you move fast. So how do organizations improve agility is a very big challenge. At least in Marico, what we've done is we've reviewed all the processes which were existing earlier, and many times some of the processes slow you down. So we have done away with a lot of processes which were slowing down so that agility improves. Sometimes perfection, and many times perfection is actually an enemy to agility. So depending on what area you're evaluating, sometimes even if you are 80-90% ready, we encourage individuals to move ahead. In some cases, like safety or something, you can't afford to take a risk on perfection. But in many areas, you have to identify it's okay to move ahead even if you're 80-90% ready, because then you're gaining on speed. The second thing which came out during COVID was authenticity. One had to give a true and fair picture of how you were doing to all your stakeholders, whether it was your employees or your associates. And I think organizations which did that did well. If you don't give a true and fair picture, they'll come to know what's happening in the organization. So it's better if you have some negative news to share that. So authenticity played a very important role. Number 3, the emotional connect and empathy played a very important role. When people were going through their own crisis in terms of getting COVID or deaths in the family, I think the CEO and the management team showing caring, not only doing that but helping individuals to overcome this, it really came out loud and clear. I think what is also shown, the war they've shown us, that the need to get the outside in the earlier days to understand macros and macros impact on the business. I think we have seen that the impact of macros is much more on business today than whenever it was in the past. So I think it's very important that you get the outside in, not only the top management, but the top 2-3 layers of management, because many a times, especially in consumer-facing industry, you see trends which are emerging. Trend of vegan, trend of natural, trend of organic. And if you are continuously searching for those trends, through an outside in, I think that may help you identify newer opportunities to launch new products. I talked about D&I and ESG, which is, anyway, I think all organizations are looking at it seriously. All boards I am on, ESG is very much a part and parcel of the journey. You have to be looking at ESG and it's not really, there is huge paybacks. It's the way you're handling it. You need to remove escape button. You have some individuals looking after ESG in a very structured manner. And finally, look at all the stakeholders and not just shareholders, because one has seen that all the stakeholders are interlinked. So whether it is your consumers or your employees or your associates or the society, if you do something extraordinary for any of them, the other stakeholders will benefit. If I do something extraordinary for my own employees, they will be far more motivated. It will show in better results. It will start reflecting in capital market. The shareholder will benefit. If the capital market does well, then you may be able to raise more money at higher valuation. So it's all interlinked. Even associates also, we have done some unique things for our own associates in terms of adding value to them. I'll just give you an example of, we buy a lot of copra for our coconut oil. So we said that can we do something to the farming community in terms of improving their yields. So in last 5 years, we have covered many farmers. We go to 80,000 farmers. We have a whole field force. And we realized that by following innovative farming practices, by following the right way to cultivate and all, depending on the rainfall and soil conditions and all, the coconut yields can go up by 15%. So based on whatever we've done and today's market prices, roughly we've been able to add income of 100 crores extra income per year in farmers' hands, and we don't expect anything in return. So when you do something like that to the farmers, they are really obligated to you. And now we are buying copra directly from our farmers. So for each of our associates, we walk that extra mile to add value to them, and that has benefited the other stakeholders also. I think these are some of my thoughts, and maybe I've written a book about my own journey, which got published, I think, about 1.5 years back. It's a bestseller. It's in a story format. So I was just telling Varun, maybe if I can have a list of those who will come for this conference, I will send you a copy for your library. So I will send it, ideally speaking, by tomorrow. If I can have a number of copies required. I don't think I'll be able to sign and just do all that within a short period of time, but I'll send it.
Sir, we will wait, but we would request for a sign.
Ah.
Pleasure for us.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. We'll try and figure out. But I'll send it by tomorrow. But it's worth reading. It captures my journey. It's co-authored by Ramcharan. And it's a story format. So it's very light reading. But at the end of every chapter, there is a 1 or 1.5 page summary by Ramcharan talking about what is the management learning in this. And I would want not only all of you, but all your students also to read this. Maybe a little bit about my Innovation Foundation journey. My belief in innovation just went on increasing dramatically because if I look back at my own journey, innovation has played a huge role. Without innovation, we would have been nowhere. And we said that can we give something back to the society? So we formed Marico Innovation Foundation almost 20 years back when innovation was not on top of the agenda of CEOs. And since then, we've done a lot of work. We accelerate, we have programs for accelerating innovations. And we also go to management schools, a project which is done every year. We call it Over the Wall. And I've just got some data. We received 21,000 applications from business schools all over India in the year 2023. And 3 management schools are selected, teams of 3. And they are given a challenge. They spend most of them these are rural challenges. They spend time and come back to us with a recommendation, and then I sit on the jury, and then we get first, second, third prize. So I think that has really helped us improve our equity in management schools also. And I think they also enjoy doing these kind of projects, which are different than the normal summer trainee projects which get done in other organizations. We've just launched a project about a few months back on plastics. We consume a lot of plastics, and every time I would speak at such event, they would say, you have shifted to plastic, but look at what you've done in the area of plastics in terms of the environment. So we said that this is bugging me, and we done research on plastics in terms of reusability of plastic, recycle, and replace plastic. And that report was released a few months back. We have 15 innovators, and now we are currently in the process of making an impact. Just give you one example. One area we want to make an impact is to work on a circular economy. So there is an issue of collection of waste, which is the biggest challenge at a household level. Then there is the issue of segregation, and the third is the sale of plastic material. So through our plastics report, we have found an excellent technology, AI-based, which can segregate different types of plastics, different brands of plastics. Our biggest challenge is to collection, and I think we have appointed a consultant. We will go to 2 towns, smaller towns, and work at a town level in terms of collection of waste, segregation, and sale of waste. It's a prototype, and if it succeeds, I just met Niti Aayog, head of Niti Aayog, just 2 days back in Delhi. And they said that, yes, if you succeed, then we will help you take over all of India. But it's a dream. There are ifs and buts, but we want to continue doing that. And maybe I think I'll end by showing a film on that. So I think there's my officer sent some film. Can you just play that? Yeah. The name of the company is Ishitwa, and I think they've done some wonderful work in the area of... This is if somebody is interested in the plastic report, this is the QR code. You can just wait for a minute. If somebody wants, some people are taking pictures. I will send you a copy of that print, Varun also. And if somebody wants, you can access the report. Yeah, you show that film. So that's a short film. Let me end by saying that I see a huge opportunity for innovation to look at India's challenges. India's challenges in agriculture, in healthcare, education. I think innovation can play a huge role. I'm not getting into details, but I think what we are trying to do over a period of time is to do sectoral studies in similar areas. We've seen in agriculture and coconut farming what it can do, and I'm sure it can do in many other areas. You need to have an end-to-end approach and not just one innovation test. You have to combine all the innovation like what you're planning to do in the area of plastics. Let me end by saying that, I find that Indian industry and the academia are completely disconnected. If you ask me to name how many professors I know, except Varun and a few others, I may not know any professors. But if you have the same individuals, Jagdish Sheth, others, and they were all teaching, but they are active in, connected with the industry, and I think that's where a big gap is. And I think my challenge to all of you is how can you improve this? Uh, if we have to grow, entrepreneurs have to rely on academia for consulting, for getting inputs. And many small and medium scale enterprises don't know how to implement technology. One is what is the technology to implement, another is how to launch it in the organization. How do you become digital? They don't have any clue. And I think academia can play a very, very important role in driving this. And more importantly, I think it will drive India's growth. So I'm glad that you're having this, but I'm hoping that it will be reinforced multiple times through industry academia interactions in terms of how can we work together. We've seen in US what Silicon Valley has done, or what Detroit has done for auto industry, or what Boston has done there, your biotech. And can we do a similar thing for India and maybe select certain hubs which are working, maybe geographical hubs. But I think in all this, academia and industry have played a very, very important role. And if you need any help through FICI or any other industry organization, I'm there. I'm very, very keen that this happens at a far better level. So with that, I end my talk, and I hope it was relevant. Thank you very much.